Today I want to talk about something that might seem simple, but it's the very foundation of everything we are and everything we become, your daily routine. We often look at success and wonder how some people seem to have it all together. We wonder, how did they get there? What's their secret? But the truth is, their success is not the result of some big momentous event. It's the result of countless small, everyday decisions and actions that have compounded over time. Success is built in the ordinary moments. You see, it's not the grand gestures, the extraordinary moves, or the once-in-a-lifetime opportunities that define our future. It's the simple actions that we take each day, the small choices we make, the routine that we follow, the quiet moments of discipline when no one is watching. Our future is determined by what we do every single day. Our daily lives are made up of a series of small, often overlooked actions. When we look at someone who has achieved success or reached a significant milestone, it's easy to think that there was some big moment or singular decision that made the difference. But in reality, success is built on the foundation of many tiny, consistent actions that over time have compounded into something larger. The power of small actions cannot be underestimated because they set the course for our future, step by step, day by day. In our fast-paced world, we often chase instant gratification, hoping for big breakthroughs that will change everything in one fell swoop. But if we take a step back and really look at how people achieve great things, we realize that it's not one monumental event, but rather a series of incremental changes that make the difference. The daily decisions we make about how we spend our time, how we treat others, how we approach our work, and how we take care of ourselves all contribute to the bigger picture. Consider the habits you form each morning. A few minutes of exercise, a healthy breakfast, or taking the time to plan your day might seem insignificant in the moment. But when you make these actions a consistent part of your routine, they begin to compound and have a profound effect on your life. Over time, that daily commitment to your health and well-being becomes a habit that shapes your physical, mental, and emotional state. The small action of setting aside 5 minutes each morning to focus on your goals sets the tone for the day ahead, providing clarity and direction. These actions may not be the biggest in terms of effort, but their cumulative impact is powerful. This is the magic of small actions. They may seem insignificant in the moment, but over time they add up to something much greater. Just think about the classic example of the tortoise and the hare. While the hare was overconfident and rushed, the tortoise maintained a steady, consistent pace. And in the end, it was the tortoise's small, consistent efforts that led to victory. Similarly, when we are consistent in our actions, even if they are small, we can achieve more than we ever thought possible. Moreover, these small actions don't just impact us individually, they ripple out and affect others as well. When we show up consistently in our relationships, in our work, or in our communities, we create a pattern that others begin to notice, whether it's being the reliable friend who always shows up, the colleague who consistently meets deadlines, or the parent who makes small, thoughtful gestures every day. Our actions leave an impression. Those who witness this consistency come to trust us, respect us, and often look to us for guidance or inspiration. The power of small actions doesn't just shape our own future, it shapes the future of those around us as well. Over time, as we continue to show up every day, doing the small things with consistency, we begin to see the fruits of our labor. These small actions start to form habits, and habits, as we know, are the building blocks of character. They define who we are and ultimately who we become. The way we treat our bodies, the way we interact with others, and the way we approach our work, these things are not just things we do on a whim. They become a reflection of who we are. It's also important to remember that small actions are not just about quantity, they are about quality. Taking small, meaningful actions every day creates a sense of purpose and fulfillment. It's about making each action count, no matter how small it might seem. Each time you make a conscious decision to act in alignment with your values or your goals, you are reinforcing the path to your desired future. The key is to stay focused, keep showing up, and trust that the small actions, when compounded over time, will lead to significant outcomes. In the end, the greatest achievements are rarely the result of one big decision or moment. They are the result of consistent, small actions that over time add up to create something extraordinary. So the next time you feel discouraged or wonder if your daily routine really matters, remember that it does. Each small action you take today is shaping the future that lies ahead. And as you continue to make those small actions a part of your everyday life, you'll begin to see just how powerful they really are. Discipline and motivation are often seen as two sides of the same coin. While motivation is the spark that ignites action, discipline is the steady force that keeps us moving forward, especially when the initial excitement fades. The truth is, motivation can be fleeting. It comes and goes based on our moods, our environment, and the circumstances around us. But discipline is what ensures we stay the course even when motivation is nowhere to be found. It is the foundation on which all success is built. Motivation is often thought of as a necessary component for success, and it's easy to understand why. When we're motivated, everything feels possible. We wake up energized, excited, and ready to take on the world. But as anyone who has ever tried to reach a goal knows, motivation is a temporary feeling. It's easy to get fired up about something at the beginning, but as the days pass and challenges arise, that initial burst of enthusiasm begins to wane. The tasks that once seemed exciting or effortless now feel tedious or overwhelming. This is where discipline steps in. Discipline is the ability to keep going even when motivation fades away. It's the commitment to show up every day regardless of how we feel, to take the necessary actions toward our goals. Think about the difference between a person who starts a new workout routine with high motivation and one who practices discipline. The motivated person might be enthusiastic at first, hitting the gym every day with energy and excitement. But as the days turn into weeks, their enthusiasm begins to wear off. They might skip workouts, make excuses, or fall off track altogether. On the other hand, someone who practices discipline understands that results don't come from fleeting bursts of energy. They come from consistent daily effort. Even on days when they don't feel like working out, they push through because they know that discipline is what gets them closer to their goals. Discipline is what allows us to keep going even when we don't feel like it. It's the act of doing the things we know are necessary for our growth, even when they're not fun or easy. It's the ability to follow through on commitments, not because we're motivated, but because we understand that success requires sustained effort over time. Discipline is about creating habits and routines that align with our long-term vision and sticking to them even when the initial excitement wears off. One of the keys to cultivating discipline is to shift our mindset. Instead of relying on motivation, we begin to rely on our commitment to the process. We understand that achieving our goals doesn't depend on how motivated we feel on any given day. It depends on whether we've built the habits and routines that will support our success. For example, if we want to write a book, we may not always feel motivated to sit down and write. But discipline tells us to write anyway, even if it's just a few words each day. Over time, those small disciplined actions add up, and before we know it, we have a finished manuscript. Discipline also plays a crucial role in maintaining consistency. Consistency is what leads to mastery. Think about any skill you've ever learned, whether it's playing an instrument, learning a language, or mastering a sport. Success doesn't come from occasional bursts of effort. It comes from doing the work day in and day out, even when it's hard or inconvenient. Discipline is what allows us to stay consistent, to keep pushing through challenges, and to continue making progress, even when the path is difficult. Another aspect of discipline is the ability to resist short-term temptations in favor of long-term rewards. It's easy to give in to distractions or indulge in instant gratification, but discipline teaches us to prioritize what truly matters. It's about understanding that the choices we make today will determine the person we become tomorrow. Every time we choose to stay focused, to take action, and to stay committed to our goals, we're reinforcing the habits that will lead to success. In the end, discipline is what separates those who achieve their goals from those who don't. Motivation is a helpful starting point, but it's discipline that ensures we stay on track. It's the key to building long-term success, to achieving our goals, and to becoming the person we want to be. When we stop relying on motivation to get us through the tough times and instead lean on our discipline, we unlock our true potential. And it's through that discipline that we will ultimately create the life we've always wanted. The way we spend our days reflects who we are. Our daily routines are not just a series of tasks we perform to get through the day. They are a direct expression of our values, priorities, and ultimately our identity. What we do every day shapes us more profoundly than we may realize. In fact, our routine doesn't just reflect who we are, it defines who we become. Think about it. The habits we form, the way we structure our time, and the actions we take daily are all indicators of what we care about most. If we consistently prioritize our health, for example, by exercising regularly, eating well, and getting enough sleep, we are not just doing things for the sake of doing them. We are demonstrating that our health is a key part of who we are. On the other hand, if we habitually neglect our physical or mental well-being, we are also signaling something about ourselves, that our well-being might not be a top priority. Our routines are a reflection of our values. When we build our daily lives around things that matter most to us, whether it's personal growth, our relationships, or our work, we are actively shaping the person we are becoming. Every decision, no matter how small, is a statement of what we value. If we spend our mornings working on personal development, our afternoons engaging in creative work, and our evenings nurturing relationships, we are telling ourselves and others that these are the things we care about. Conversely, if we spend our days reacting to external demands and neglecting our internal goals, our routine reveals that we might be letting circumstances dictate our life rather than taking charge of it ourselves. The truth is, we often think about our identity as something that is fixed, a final product that defines who we are. However, Our identity is fluid and constantly evolving. It's shaped by what we do, not just by who we are. And the most significant way we shape our identity is through our daily actions, the small things we do every day. What we read, how we work, how we spend our leisure time, and how we treat the people around us add up over time and become the building blocks of our identity. In a way, our routine becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. If we repeatedly engage in certain behaviors, those behaviors eventually become a part of who we are. For instance, someone who consistently works towards their goals, stays organized, and strives to improve will eventually see themselves as someone who is driven and focused. Someone who makes a habit of procrastination, on the other hand, may begin to see themselves as someone who is disorganized or lacks follow-through. The more we act in alignment with a certain identity, the more that identity becomes ingrained in us. Our routine is also a powerful tool for change. If we're unhappy with certain aspects of our life or feel that our current identity isn't aligned with the person we want to become, our routine is the place where we can make adjustments. By intentionally shifting the way we structure our days, we can begin to adopt new behaviors and gradually redefine who we are. Want to become a more patient person? Begin by incorporating moments of mindfulness and reflection into your daily routine. Looking to be more creative? Start carving out time each day to engage in creative activities, whether it's writing, drawing, or brainstorming new ideas. Our routines don't just define us. They can be the means by which we transform ourselves. The beauty of this process is that it's gradual. Change doesn't have to happen overnight. By committing to small, positive changes in our routine, we can make huge shifts in our identity over time. It's the consistent daily actions that ultimately make the biggest impact, not the sudden, dramatic changes we expect. Every choice you make, how you spend your morning, how you handle challenges, how you show up for others, shapes your character and forms the person you are becoming. Your identity is not something you're born with. It's something you create with every action you take. So ask yourself, what does your daily routine say about who you are? Is it a reflection of the person you want to be? If not, it's never too late to make a change. Your routine is in your control. It's the blueprint for the life you want to live and the identity you want to embrace. And as you consistently align your daily actions with your values and goals, you will start to see your identity shift in ways that are both meaningful and lasting. The person you are becoming is not far away. It's already in the making, one day at a time. Success is often seen as the culmination of big dramatic moments, the breakthrough idea, the perfect opportunity, or the moment when everything aligns. But what if the real foundation of success is not built on these rare events, but in the ordinary, everyday moments? The truth is, success doesn't happen in a vacuum or all at once. It is built in the consistency of the small, seemingly mundane actions we take every day, the way we spend our time, how we approach the small tasks, and how we respond to life's everyday challenges shapes our future in ways we might not realize. Most people look for that big game-changing moment, the thing that will define their success. They imagine that once they achieve that one pivotal milestone, everything will fall into place. But true success is rarely the result of a single dramatic event. It's the result of years of small, consistent effort. It's the everyday actions, often overlooked, that lead to real, lasting success. These are the moments that matter the most, even though they might seem insignificant at the time. Think about the things you do every day. How do you spend your mornings? Do you wake up with purpose, or do you rush through your day without thinking about it? What you do in the first few hours of your day sets the tone for the rest of it. Taking a few minutes to plan your day, to prioritize, or even to focus on something positive like reading or exercising might seem like small actions, but over time, they add up. It's not about doing one thing perfectly. It's about showing up consistently and doing something every day that moves you toward your goals. It's easy to overlook the power of these small, everyday moments. They don't feel as important or as flashy as the big events, and they certainly don't provide instant gratification, but in reality they are the most important. Imagine a writer who sits down to write a few words every day, a musician who practices an instrument for just 15 minutes daily, or an athlete who takes small steps in their training regimen each day. They might not see huge results immediately, but those small, consistent efforts build on each other, and over time, they lead to mastery, improvement, and success. It's the accumulation of these ordinary moments that creates extraordinary results. The same principle applies to our relationships. It's the small acts of kindness, the consistent effort to check in on others, the willingness to listen and show up that build trust and deepen bonds. Success in relationships doesn't come from one grand gesture. It comes from showing up every day, being present, and putting in the time and effort to nurture the connection. It's the ordinary moments of connection that lead to lasting, meaningful relationships. What about in our careers or personal growth? Success is not built by waiting for the perfect job offer or the ideal opportunity. It's built in the small, everyday efforts to improve. Whether it's learning a new skill, networking with others, or simply showing up to work with a positive attitude, these ordinary actions create a foundation for growth. The person who works quietly behind the scenes, mastering their craft or building their knowledge, is just as important as the person who gets the big break. The difference is that success in the long run is determined by the steady accumulation of effort, not by a single event. It's also important to note that failure is an ordinary part of the journey. Every setback, every mistake, and every challenge is a learning opportunity. The most successful people don't avoid failure. They embrace it, learn from it, and keep moving forward. Failure, in fact, is often one of the most ordinary moments in the journey to success. The key is not to get discouraged by it, but to recognize that it is a necessary part of the process. The ability to keep going even when things don't go as planned is what sets those who succeed apart from those who give up. Ultimately, success is not about waiting for a life-changing moment to happen. It's about recognizing that the small, ordinary moments we experience each day are the building blocks of our future. Every decision, every small action, and every bit of effort contributes to the bigger picture. Success is not an event, it's a process, a series of small, consistent actions that add up to something much larger than the sum of their parts. The real question is not what big thing will change my life, but rather, am I showing up every day and doing the small things that will lead to success? The beauty of success being built in ordinary moments is that it's within our control. Every day is an opportunity to make choices that lead us closer to our goals. Success is not out of reach. It's being built right now in the small, everyday actions we take. Talent is often seen as the key to success. We look at naturally gifted individuals and admire their abilities, believing that their success is due to their innate talent. However, while talent may provide an initial advantage, it is consistency that ultimately determines long-term success. The truth is, talent alone is not enough. In fact, consistency often trumps talent because it is the regular, sustained effort over time that leads to mastery, growth, and achievement. Think about it. Talent may help you start strong, but it's consistency that keeps you going. Talent might allow you to perform well in the beginning, but it's the person who shows up day after day, putting in the hours and effort, that achieves success over time. It's easy to rely on talent when things come easily, but when challenges arise, and they inevitably will, talent alone is often insufficient. Without consistency, even the most talented individuals can falter, while those with less natural ability can outpace them by simply sticking with the process. The difference between talent and consistency becomes especially evident in the long run. While talent can give you a head start, it's consistency that ensures continuous progress. Think about athletes, for example. The most successful athletes are not necessarily the ones who are the most naturally gifted, but rather those who commit to a daily routine of practice, training, and improvement. A gifted athlete who stops practicing or loses focus will eventually be surpassed by someone with less raw talent but greater dedication. The consistent effort of practicing, refining skills, and learning from mistakes is what separates those who reach the top from those who fall short. The same principle applies in many areas of life. Whether you are learning a new skill, pursuing a career, or building a business, consistency is the key to progress. The person who puts in the work every day, even when they don't feel like it, is the one who will eventually see results. It's easy to be motivated and energized at the beginning of a new venture, but the true test of success is what happens when the initial excitement fades. It's during the times when motivation wanes and the going gets tough that consistency becomes the deciding factor. Take the example of someone learning to play a musical instrument. Initially, they may struggle with the basics, and their progress might be slow. Someone with a natural gift for music may progress faster, but if the person without as much natural talent continues to practice every day, their skill will steadily improve. Over time, the person with less talent may catch up and even surpass the naturally gifted musician because their consistent effort leads to greater overall improvement. Talent is just a starting point. Consistency is what drives mastery. In the business world, the same concept applies. Many entrepreneurs and leaders rise to success not because of a brilliant idea or exceptional talent, but because of their ability to remain consistent, learn from failure, and keep moving forward even when times are tough. A business owner who shows up every day, works relentlessly on improving their product, engages with customers, and adapts to changing circumstances will ultimately outlast someone who relies solely on their initial talent or brilliance. Consistency in effort and perseverance through challenges are what build a sustainable business. not the spark of inspiration that leads to a great idea. What's even more powerful about consistency is its ability to create habits. When you make something a consistent part of your routine, it becomes automatic. You don't have to rely on willpower or motivation to get it done. It's simply a part of your daily life. Over time, these habits compound, and the small actions you take consistently add up to significant progress. Whether it's writing a few pages every day, making time for exercise, or committing to learning something new, the power of consistency is that it turns actions into habits, and habits are what shape our lives. Consistency also allows you to learn from your mistakes and grow. Talent may give you an edge, but it doesn't teach you how to overcome failure or persist through difficulty. Consistent effort, however, provides plenty of opportunities to fail, learn, and improve. Each setback is a chance to refine your approach and become better. Those who are consistent are not discouraged by failure. Instead, they view it as part of the journey towards success. At the end of the day, talent is a gift, but it's consistency that transforms potential into achievement. It's the ability to show up every day, to put in the work, and to keep improving that leads to success. Talent may give you a head start, but without consistency, it will only take you so far. In the long run, it's those who are dedicated to the process, who persist through challenges, and who keep putting in the effort day after day that truly achieve greatness. So rather than waiting for talent to carry you, focus on building the habits of consistency and watch how it propels you to success. In a world full of distractions, uncertainty, and constant change, it's easy to drift through life without a clear sense of direction. We often react to what happens around us instead of intentionally shaping our path. However, there is immense power in living with intention. Intentionality is the practice of making deliberate choices based on a clear understanding of your values, goals, and vision. It is about being mindful of how we spend our time, energy, and resources, and ensuring that our actions are aligned with the life we want to create. When we live with intention, we are not merely going through the motions. Instead, we are actively engaging with our lives in a purposeful way. Every decision we make, from the smallest to the largest, becomes a conscious act that brings us closer to the future we desire. Living intentionally is about recognizing that our time is finite and that we are in control of how we use it. It's about choosing what matters most to us and making sure that our actions reflect those priorities. One of the most powerful aspects of intentionality is the clarity it provides. When we are intentional about our choices, we know exactly what we want and why we want it. This clarity allows us to make decisions that are in alignment with our long-term goals, rather than reacting impulsively to external pressures or temporary distractions. Without intentionality, it's easy to get caught up in the noise of life and lose sight of what truly matters. But when we take the time to define our values and set clear intentions, we can navigate the complexities of life with confidence and purpose. Intentionality also empowers us to take ownership of our lives. When we are intentional, we are not passive recipients of whatever comes our way. Instead, we are active participants in creating our reality. We recognize that we have the power to choose how we respond to challenges, how we spend our time, and how we engage with others. This sense of ownership gives us a greater sense of control over our lives and allows us to make progress toward our goals, even when the path is not always clear. Living intentionally requires us to be present in the moment. It means paying attention to what is happening around us and making conscious choices rather than being swept along by the tide of daily life. When we are present, we can fully engage with the people and experiences that matter most. We don't waste time on things that don't align with our values, and we avoid distractions that pull us away from our priorities. Being present allows us to experience life more deeply and to create meaningful connections with others. Intentionality also plays a key role in personal growth. By living with intention, we are constantly evaluating and refining our goals, actions, and behaviors. We are mindful of where we are spending our energy and whether it is contributing to the person we want to become. Whether it's developing a new skill, improving our health, or strengthening our relationships, intentionality allows us to take focused, purposeful action toward becoming the best version of ourselves. This practice also helps us to stay resilient in the face of setbacks. When we are intentional, we understand that challenges are an inevitable part of life. However, rather than allowing setbacks to derail us, we use them as opportunities to learn and grow. Because we have a clear sense of purpose, we are better able to persevere through difficult times, knowing that our actions are aligned with a larger vision for our lives. The power of intentionality is evident in the lives of those who are able to achieve their goals and create the life they desire. These individuals do not simply let life happen to them. They actively design their lives with purpose. Whether they are building a successful career, creating a meaningful relationship, or living a life of service, their intentional choices are what guide them towards success. It's important to remember that intentionality is not about perfection. It's about making consistent, deliberate choices that bring us closer to our goals. Sometimes we may stray from our path, but with intentionality, we always have the opportunity to refocus and realign with our values. It's the practice of choosing what matters most and making sure that every action we take reflects that choice. At its core, the power of intentionality lies in the ability to shape our lives rather than simply react to them. When we are intentional, we are actively creating the future we desire rather than leaving it to chance. It's about being aware, focused, and aligned with our purpose. Living intentionally gives us the clarity, direction, and power to make meaningful progress toward our goals and to live a life that reflects our true values.